podcast. I'm joined by my co-host Nathan, and this week we are joined by a very, very interesting character. If you've not seen the Channel 4 Challenge series documentaries, go and check them out. Dennis Frimpong, how are you doing, Dan?
I'm good, yeah. Yeah. Getting in the Christmas spirit with a bit of a cold.
Thank you for joining us. One, for being mildly under the weather, and two, you're just coming from training as well, aren't you?
Yeah, I just got home about half an hour ago, maybe.
Firstly, if for the people that haven't seen the challenge series, um, tell us a bit about yourself, your MMA background. Like, give us a little bit from the start. How did it all start for you?
Um, I never really had intentions to go into MMA. Obviously, like McGregor was a big inspiration for me to start martial arts, but I started with like a bit of Thai and then found jiu-jitsu after a couple months and fell in love with it and then just immersed myself in jiu-jitsu, to be honest. Did that until COVID happened and then I wasn't able to do jiu-jitsu. So the guys at my original Thai gym were still training, like hush hush. And I ended up just going down there just to get something in because I was losing my mind, to be honest. I'm sure everyone remembers what COVID was like. Yeah, I started training there, like pretty consistent, and then there was a few guys that like fighting Bellator and Cage Warriors and stuff that used to come in and do striking rounds. And after a while, I sort of be like having good rounds with them on the feet. So I just said, well, why am I paying to do jiu-jitsu tournaments when I could get paid to do MMA? So then towards the end of COVID, I just jumped into it. And yeah, one thing led to another, basically.
So COVID was a blessing for you then, weren't it?
Yeah, man, I made the most of COVID. A lot of people complained about it. I had a good COVID, to be honest. I made a lot of self-improvement. Obviously a big segue in my life, I suppose you could call it. But for the better, you know. I mean, I'm doing all right at the old MMA so far.
You're training in Manchester top team now. So how did you land up landing there?
So again, like yeah, towards the end of COVID, um, it was like the end of COVID here. Like COVID was sort of over here. Lockdown had ended. People were like back working in the office and all that. At the time, I was still an amateur, so I was still working a full time job. And Dublin and Ireland was still in lockdown, so I started looking for jobs in Manchester. I broke up with me missus and stuff as well a couple of months before that, so I had no real ties to keep me in Dublin. So I found a job and then ended up moving over and trained in Predators for a little bit when I first came over for like a few months, and then found Top Team, and yeah, the rest is history.
So the challenge series, you played the bad guy, the one who liked to talk shit, and even the
100%.
promoters Andre and that they said you sold it, man. You sold it, and everyone needs that character, don't they? Then, so what was the whole experience of that like for you? Now looking back on it, and yeah, you've had time to.
Yeah, it was a bit of a mad experience, to be honest with you. Like living in a house with a load of guys that you're fighting is proper
Eating with
strange,
them
mate.
and fighting with them, it's mental, isn't it?
Oh, it's like, don't get me wrong, I definitely didn't like. I was enjoying it more than the lads in the English team were, because they're the ones that getting pranked and stuff. But it's just a weird headspace you go into, obviously, because obviously when I've landed over there, I didn't know whether I'd have to fight the Irish lads as well at some point in the house or whatnot. So I was like, and everyone was obviously in that same headspace, so everyone was like real like, oh, you know what I mean? It was weird. Obviously, me and the Irish lads have ended up gelling a bit more then when we realized we can't fight till at least the final. Um, it was a great experience, mate. To be honest, you know, getting to be in Slovakia for 3 weeks of the summer in a villa, getting all your food paid for you and stuff like that, having a few knocks. Obviously, the fights on the show went really well for me, and yeah, you know, got a bit of exposure. Got to really be myself in the house and really like play into the villain role, as you'd say, the heel. You know, and that's it. You know, like as you know,
You know what? You played the role well, and because each each fight that you had, you managed to create a bit of back and forth, especially with Hassan. And that was getting really boiled over at some point. It's that it was just like, just go one, I want to fight him, and it was going back and forth. Man, it was great TV, great TV.
Yeah, I think that was like the people's main event at some point, wasn't it? Like everyone wanted to see that fight. Yeah, he took it well, to be honest, to him, mate. Like obviously, every episode was filmed over 4 days, so obviously in an hour they're gonna have to cut so much out. There's a lot of stuff that people didn't see. Like there was a lot of us just chilling in the house, you know what I mean, playing poker, and like it wasn't just like you couldn't just be turned on all the time, you know. You couldn't just be like switching on. Yeah, you'd get annoyed yourself, do you know what I mean, having to do it all the time. So there was points where obviously we've just been chilling. Obviously, I was still hitting them with little jabs here and there in between, off camera as well. But yeah, it was a great experience altogether, mate. To be honest. And
Do you think there was an advantage of doing that in a place where sort of everyone's sort of on edge a bit? They all want to make it. Do you think sort of doing that trash talking a little bit? Do you think that would give you an advantage in the process?
I think with Hassan it might have. I think I definitely got into Hassan's head. With Bo, to be honest, I didn't really go after him too hard. Mainly just because he was actually pretty sound, and he's sort of been through enough in his life. Like he had a load of shit happen while we were over there and stuff like that. And you know, I'm a bit of a prick, but I'm not that much of a prick. Do you know what I mean? And like I said, he was sound. I don't think he would have been. I could read by him. He wasn't the kind of guy that it would have affected anyway. So I just said let's go in there and have a knock with him. But I think definitely the trash talk definitely rattled Hassan a little bit, and yeah, it would do. You know, you're living with the person, and you're sat there having breakfast in the morning of the fight, and like looking at them like I'm gonna have to fight you in 3 hours, and then they're just making jabs at you when you're trying to get focused. You know what I mean? And you're keeping you up at night and stuff like that. So yeah, definitely it could have a bit of an effect, more so than trash talking someone online where they can just block you or just switch it off and not go on their social media. You know, they don't have to like look you in the face, and there's not that like interpersonal connection there, face to face.
And what was the process of actually going into that series, and how did that happen for you?
Obviously they've come around looking for people to go on the show. They scouted a few gyms, came to Top Team, got in touch with my manager as well, and I just thought it'd be a great fit for me. You know, I trash talk people since before that anyway, and I just thought them living in a house with me is going to be A, primetime TV, and B, they're going to be rattled. I'll definitely get in the final. I know Oktagon's a good promotion, you know, probably the premier promotion in Europe right now. So yeah, like I took the opportunity at both hands. You know, I'm still early in my career. You know, at the time I only had 1 or 2 pro fights. So yeah, I honestly I didn't think anyone in the UK or Ireland was capable of beating me at that weight. So yeah, I just dove straight in.
Absolutely. So just briefly, could you sum up your 2023 for you on a personal level? What are you taking from it? Where do you know areas where you need to improve, not just like in the cage as a person, with you because of your experiences?
Yeah. So obviously 2023 started in February with my pro debut, and it was a split decision loss to a good Sanda kickboxer over in the UAE. That was sick. It was a sick experience as well, you know, to make my pro debut in the Etihad Arena. Took some lessons from that. Had a win after that, and then obviously the 2 wins on the house. And then ended the year on a loss. And that was my finish. So yeah, it was a mixed bag of a year, you know, but loads of experience. Like I say, the 2 guys I lost to.
There's no shame in losing to George Staines, mate.
Nah, you know, like George Staines as well, and you know, get a shout out to Babacar Niang as well. You know, who I fought in UAE. He's 4-1 now. I think he was 2-1 at the time to make me debut against, and he's 4-1 now. I think everyone bar me that he beat, he knocked out. hit hard. You know what I mean? He was a sick fighter as well, and yeah, no shame in losing to either of those guys. You know, don't get me wrong. I definitely could have gone this year, fought a loaded Brazilian journeyman on, you know, regional shows and built me record up to like 6 or 7-0, fooled myself into having maybe a false sense of what my skill level is. Then going to a big promotion and bottling it, you know. So I'm glad I just dove straight in. Got the hard fights out of the way, as you say, like figured out what I need to work on in terms of me striking, in terms of my wrestling, and like what areas people are going to try and expose in the future. But like I said, I look, with George Staines, mate, I don't think on that night in Manchester, I think any other lightweight at on that night I would have beaten. Like he might have made me look average there, but like I know my level, I know the guys I train with, I know how I do against people, and he's really good, you know. I'll have to give him that.
Dennis. I was cage side, Dennis, and it's not like he made you. It's not like he made you look bad. He's just that good as well. But
Yeah.
he's that high level caliber prospect, new to the game. But it was his pro debut as well, where because the others are classed as exhibitions.
Yeah, his pro debut. But again, you have to understand this is a kid who's training MMA since he's 7 or 8 years old. 18 amateur fights or whatever it was, 17 amateur fights on high level shows. You know, IMAF world bronze medalist, European gold medalist. Beat 2 good guys on the show as well. You know, beat Matthew Elliott, who's an unreal wrestler. You know, managed to out wrestle him. So it was a big ask, you know what I mean, for someone that's only doing MMA a couple of years. Only made me pro debut as well this year. So it is what it is, you know. Fair play to him. He was a better man. I look forward to maybe meeting him in the future at some point in a couple of years when my wrestling's a bit more up to scratch. But yeah, it's been a mad year, honestly. A lot of exposure. A lot of people know who I am now, and I'm now nicely settled into, as I say, the premier promotion in Europe.
Absolutely, Nathan.
Do you think that's something that will help you in the sense you've said before just then about when you were getting into MMA, you were going up against Bellator Cage Warrior guys, and that told you that you were ready? Now you're sort of entered your pro career and you're not padding your record, you're taking those hard fights. Do you think that's something that's going to set your career up in later years?
100%. I think that when people in Oktagon see what George goes on to do, and then when I start fighting people in that Oktagon lightweight division and smoking them, I think people will understand and look back on like what a really high level fight that was. Like 2 high level guys, you know. Yeah, I can't see many people in that lightweight division in Oktagon surviving 2 rounds with them, let alone getting into the 4th round. And then again, like getting a 5-round fight this early in my career, you know, going into the 4th round. I know my cardio is good. I wasn't like mad tired or anything, you know. I got just wrestled for 4 rounds, but my cardio was good. So I know I can do 3 rounds solid now. As you say, have those holes to sort of work on and go back to the drawing board. And even since that fight, it was only a month and a bit ago, and I feel like I've plugged a lot of those holes up. So I look forward to seeing if anyone else can try and emulate what George did to me. But I think people are going to realize very quickly that no one else has ever managed to do that to me in how many amateur fights and then a couple pro fights. So we'll see if anyone else manages that.
And is that cardio athleticism something that you draw from your track and field career? I know you did long jump, so maybe not quite that way, but was there some advantages from going into sort of maybe a bit of a outsider sport for MMA?
Yeah, obviously I started off with long jump. I did in uni move into like 200 and 400, and I did a bit of training for that. So yeah, I definitely think some of the athleticism and just the knowledge of strength training and plyometric training and how to train properly definitely was an advantage starting jiu-jitsu. Because I wasn't starting jiu-jitsu off the couch. A lot of people start jiu-jitsu straight off the couch. So yeah, it's one of them things. I feel like I definitely had an advantage from that for sure.
And is that sort of being used to being coached at a high level that then you join someone like Manchester top team, the Premier Gym. That's almost like you're built for it in a sense, not to, but like you've had that experience of being coached to compete, and now you're doing that at Manchester top team.
Yeah. In Manchester top team, I'm just surrounded by great bodies. I'm surrounded by Bellator, UFC fighters, PFL fighters, and high-level coaches, high-level strength and conditioning guys, high-level facility, and other guys that are natural athletes as well. You know, like there's some guys that are also only training a few years and they're doing big things. You know, the likes of Abraham Babley, Malachi Edwards. You know, just loads of guys in the gym that are. Obviously, there's some guys that are doing it years as well, and they're doing big things as well. But like, there's a lot of guys that are literally just dipping their toe in the game and coming up levels. So I think in the next 3 to 5 years, mate, we're going to see a lot of big stars coming out of that gym. So yeah,
that's good. We'll end it with your hopes for next year. And have you got anything due to be announced soon? I seen a post on social media the other day. You might have fight news soon.
Yeah. I'm hoping to be fighting maybe January or February. So early next year. I'm hoping to get like 4 to 5 fights next year, and I'm not going to just stay active. And yeah, continue on with Oktagon, and like I say, burn through this lightweight division and show my real level. You know, show that other than a top level prospect, not many people are going to be able to handle me.
Excellent. Well, hopefully you'll be on that January 27th card at Newcastle. If not, why not? Like you, I remember you saying at the end of the press conference in Manchester, you stick a fight in your neighbours and your own people, the Irish. You want to go and fight some Europeans in Germany and Prague and stuff like that, because they do massive crowds there, don't they?
Yeah, huge. I think they broke the German record recently, like 19,000 people beat the UFC for a crowd attendance at an MMA event. They're getting like 22,000, 23,000 seaters sold out stadiums in the likes of Prague and Ostrava and stuff like that. So yeah, it's next level, mate. And obviously the Manchester arena wasn't fully sold out, but it was still sold out. Like the difference in the noise was outrageous. Like I couldn't hear me corner or anything. It was something to get used to. So I can't imagine what like 15,000, 20,000 plus people is going to be like.
Well, I'm going to Prague next week for the last show of the year, so hopefully we'll be seeing you on a big show like that soon, Dennis.
Yeah, sick. Looking forward to it, mate.